You know that feeling when you're juggling work-from-home calls, trying to keep the kids' art projects off the floor, and the dog leaves a little gift by the doorway? You want a floor cleaning solution that actually lives up to the hype, not just a gadget that promises a lot on paper. The big question is whether you can find a robot that will reliably vacuum, mop, and stay out of the way of the chaos that makes up everyday life without needing you to spend half an hour every night tweaking settings. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm going to walk through why the NARWAL Flow 2 might be the answer for people who need that level of hands-off cleaning, and also point out the situations where you might be better off looking elsewhere. First off, let's talk about the hesitation most people have before buying any robot vacuum mop combo. The market is flooded with units that promise high suction or 10-minute mop cycles, but when you actually unpack them, you often end up dealing with clumsy docking stations, a mop that never really gets wet enough, or a vacuum that can't handle pet hair without constantly clogging. The Flow 2 tries to address those pain points hidden with a few standout features: a 31,000 pascal suction system, a dual brush setup that's marketed as Tangle-Free, and a self-cleaning mop called FlowWash that claims to refresh the mop pad with fresh water on every run. Those are the headline claims, but what really matters is how they translate into daily use. If you have a medium-sized home, say a 2 to 3 bedroom layout with a mix of hardwood and carpet, the Flow 2's suction level is actually quite useful. In my testing, the robot tackled the usual breakfast crumbs on tile and the fine pet dander on low-pile carpet without losing suction power. The dual brush system, which features a stiff bristle roller for larger debris and a softer roller for finer particles, seemed to keep the brushes clear even after a full house cleaning session. The Tangle-Free label is a bit of a misnomer. It doesn't mean you'll never see hair wrapped around the brush, but it does mean you'll see far less than you would with single brush units. In a house with a shedding dog, a quick glance at the brush after a run showed only a modest amount of hair, which the robot's high suction managed to pick up without choking. One of the most practical strengths of the Flow 2 is the FlowWash mop. Many robot mops either use a dry pad that just spreads dirt around, or they rely on a simple water reservoir that can become dirty quickly. The FlowWash system circulates fresh water through a small internal tank and pushes the mop pad through a cleaning chamber before each pass. This means the pad stays relatively clean throughout the cleaning cycle, reducing the need for you to swap pads mid-run. For households that need a quick wipe down of spills, think a dropped cereal bowl or a puddle from a muddy shoe, the Flow 2 can mop the area while still vacuuming surrounding debris. The mop isn't a deep scrub solution, it's best for light messes, but it does remove the sticky residue that a dry mop would just spread. Now, let's talk about the AI object recognition. The robot uses dual cameras to map out the room and avoid obstacles. In practice, this works well for static objects like coffee tables or the occasional shoe left in the hallway. The robot can detect and steer around these items without getting stuck, which is a relief if you've ever spent 10 minutes pulling a robot out of a cord or a toy. However, the cameras can be tripped up by reflective surfaces, think a glass coffee table or a glossy floor tile, so the robot might pause or choose a different route when it encounters a lot of shine. If you have a lot of glass furniture, you may need to manually set no-go zones in the app to keep the robot from zigzagging endlessly. One feature that feels surprisingly thoughtful is the smart light bar on the front. It changes color to show you at a glance whether the robot is running, stuck, or needs a refill. For people who are busy and don't want to open an app every few minutes, this visual cue is a small but genuine time saver. I found that after a few runs, the light bar's colors became almost second nature: green for clean, amber for low water, red for an obstacle it can't navigate. It reduces the need to check the phone constantly and helps you know when you might need to empty the dustbin. When it comes to the dustbin, the Flow 2's capacity is about average for this class of robot. It can hold enough dust to clean a typical 2-bedroom apartment in one go, but if you have a larger home or a heavily soiled environment, you'll probably need to empty it every couple of hours. The robot does give you a notification when the bin is full, which ties back into that smart light bar and the accompanying app. The